Hello, this is Marcus Unlimited, and welcome to our Audacity tutorial on creating ethereal vocal effects in Audacity. Let's jump right into our project by determining our goals. Sound and all of its properties has a tremendous impact on any form of multimedia work. The theme of this multimedia project, or VideOpera, is centered around a group of angels who have a unique relationship with a human being who acts as their translator to some degree. The setting for the VideOpera this audio will be used in is one of the workspaces maintained by these angels somewhere in the unknown heavens, perhaps like one of the places spoken of by Dante in his masterwork Paradiso. The visuals have these luxurious heavenly mists wrapped around a unique angelic 3D architecture. So now that we understand our setting a bit more, a bit of meditative thought leads us to the idea that the vocals should probably reflect this otherworldly environment, meaning a same room or vocal booth sound, even if the vocals are precisely recorded, is going to be out of place thematically unless we embellish our tracks imaginatively in somewhat the same way that our story and visuals are to be presented. At the same time, the rawness and uniqueness of each vocal track should be kept to strengthen the reality and width through distances and natural differences that the combination of the single vocal track creates. Secret tip: even if your project has a different theme, when you want bigness, avoid using auto-tune type devices, which will make each vocal line sound so mathematically precise the width or fatness will be lost in the end product. The secret to that epic operatic sound is honestly old school operatic training and using only effects which embellish the existing audio rather than aggressively modifying its signal. So let's take a listen to our raw choral snippet, which is simply a mixdown of multi-tracked vocal parts originally sung by your vegan pal, Marcus Unlimited, with no Audacity effects yet applied. I appreciate the result, yet it sounds common relative to our production's desired and rather imaginative final objective. So let's get audacious and turn this into a choral league of heroic angels. Because of our pre-thought and pre-planning on this matter, meaning we know the effect we want to have on the resultant work ahead of time, I feel led to immediately reach for Audacity's normalize function. Normalize is one of my favorite ways to even out an audio track's volume without completely sacrificing its dynamics in the way that too much compression or leveling might do. Full compression or leveling can be truly ideal for some things. However, in this case, we want our choral part for this work to have the immensity which comes from the rawness retained in the final result. We just want that rawness dressed up rather than reformed. For this, normalize is the way to go. Here is our normalized result. As you can hear, normalize has evened out the snippet while also heating up our overall signal volume a good measure without adding any additional distortion. Nice! Way to go, Audacity normalize function. Way to go. Often, I might recommend duplicating the original track, but normalize is often a pretty safe effect to apply without necessarily needing to work on a duplicate of the original track, especially since we thought out our desired end result pretty well for this one. Planning your work and working your plan can save a tremendous amount of time and energy when doing anything. This certainly applies to creative works as well. Yet, for our next step, we definitely want to work with a duplicate, as we will be using the time shift tool in the most subtle fashion to recreate what happens with a real choir. Again, the method we will use still has us working with the real natural recordings. There are effects which can add a chorus or unison effect. However, their mathematic modification precision can often smooth out the track too much and add more of an over-tightened, synthesized sound to the vocals than we want for a project like this. When I used to work as a staff singer for an opera, the whole cool thing about the ensemble of voices was that under a sonic microscope, no two voices began at the exact same millisecond, nor were any notes sung at the exact same oscilloscope-style pitch, or with the exact same vibrato speed. These slight, natural differences created the breadth of sound from the ensemble. This is also the reason why string sections sound so luxurious when compared to a single violin or fiddle alone. I may be unique in the fact that I love synthesizers and electronics for what they do best, yet I also love ancient and/or traditional sound creation properties for what they do best. Both ideas have a place in my works. When you want that big epic sound vocally, you do not want to re-synthesize the sound. That may be more at home on, say, an electronic dance track, which certainly has its place in the overall musical landscape as well, but for something like this, such would most likely overly smooth the final results. So, with the second track well magnified, we will select the time shift tool, go to the second track only, and ever so slightly nudge it to the right a bit so that it starts a tiny bit after the first. So, as we can hear, after time shifting or moving our duplicate to start a touch later and reducing the second track's volume a bit, we have made our track a bit bigger. Now it is time to bathe the whole thing in something that suggests that angelic ether we mentioned in our settings description. For this, let's mix down, or mix and render, both of our tracks into one and then duplicate the merged tracks to experiment with the reverb levels. On the duplicate, apply Audacity's G-verb with the default settings in place. Then, as a heavier reverberated sound is desired, we will make the duplicate's volume exceed the unreverberated original track, as much as is desired. Furthermore, this process of making a duplicate and then applying yet another layer of reverb to the duplicate, adjusting levels, and so forth, can continually bathe the vocals in that imaginative, ethereal sound texture we need to match what is happening in the visuals, and is also expressed in the narrative poem you will hear in the finalized work as well. So, I have shared with you some of the procedural ideas I have used to develop our choral tracks. However, to further spur some inspiration, I would like to invite you to experience the complete final production and decide for yourself how much better our embellished vocal tracks fit into such a visually ethereal and heavenly environment. Thus, relax, clear your mind for a moment, and enjoy some all-positive entertainment from your friendly neighborhood vegan voice guy, Marcus Unlimited. Thank you, and please consider subscribing to our channel. As well, your likes and shares would be infinitely appreciated, and maybe give me a chance to make more works like this on your behalf at no charge. Thank you again, sincerely, Marcus Unlimited. You have walked past the meal of convenience, and this has been witnessed by those on high. Within the ether, between here and there, a workspace has been created for your prayers, a place where the energy of your request within safe, strong enclosures. is henceforth newly blessed and well lit by an archangel's lantern.